Now, the news. If there's one thing that foreign gun makers do well, it's making guns that the cartel, gang members, and idiots like me will love the look of. EAA has that down to a science, I think. Under their Gearsan brand, they import those, they've got 3 different versions that I'm going to show you here. First is the MC1911 Luxe. Now, this one isn't the most flashy, but it does have a high polish finish with some scroll work on the slide, along with those G10 grips. It's chambered in 45 ACP, has a 5-inch barrel, and holds 8 rounds in the magazine. MSRP on that one is $1,100. Taking a step up from there is the MC1911 Gold Luxe. Ooh, yeah. This one is virtually the same as the other gun, the Luxe, but it's gold, and it's chambered in 38 Super for people that are un-American. If you had to pick a cartel gun out of a lineup, this thing would be like racial profiling. It's gold, has scroll work, and an angel on the grips. That's a cartel gun. It also comes in a case that has leather on the outside, and it looks really nice. Again, just like that gold high power. MSRP is $1,300 on this one. And then we have the, Tokyo Drift version called the MC1911 Match Elite. This one is, again, 45 ACP, 5-inch barrel, 8-round mags, but it is rocking rainbow PVD coating all over. They say it's got performance-focused features like a competition rear sight. It's just a flat rear sight. It's adjustable. And a skeletonized trigger. But that seems pretty basic to me. MSRP is $850 on that one. Now, from my perspective, it is entirely possible that these are junk. We have not had good luck with EAA Gearsan guns that we've tested at all. However, if they work well, it could be pretty fun to have as a range toy if you're flexing on that culo. Yeah. I'm an idiot. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these down in the comments, and I'm sure you guys will be sort of split right down the middle. Some of you will love them, some of you will think they're trash. I cannot wait to see that. Welcome back to another episode of the Gun Collective News. I am John Patton. Hello, welcome. It's good to have you here. Haha, it's good you here. I'm not saying you should use the code TGC at checkout when you get your tickets for GunCon. I'm not saying that, but if you do, you'll probably be pleasantly surprised. You might save a couple bucks on each ticket if you do that. There is definitely a link in the description so you can go do that. Moving on, PSA, Palmetto State Armory, has partnered with a company out of Pennsylvania called Stuffin' Things Incorporated on their version of a Stizon, the Stizon. It's a Bison clone. Essentially, what we have here is the PSA AKV in 9mm, has a 10.5-inch barrel, and most importantly has been upgraded to accept the Stuffin' Things Stizon kit, which includes a magazine of reasonable size, YouTube. If you said 55 things about it, you'd probably be right. Huh? You tracking? Good, I hope so. It's really not that hard. It also has the proprietary handguard that is required to use this magazine. That right there is pretty neat. Also incredible to me is seeing my friends at Stink, yes, that's the short version of their company, continuing to hit home runs to a point where one of the biggest in the game partners with them on something like this. I've been fortunate enough to know Ian and Will from Stuffin' Things for a bunch of years now, and they have a knack for making interesting products. And yes, they are my friends. I'm being open and honest. I love these guys. They're great. We've covered their Kel-Tec P50 thing just the other week, and this is no different. It's super cool. MSRP on this AKV variant from PSA is $1,200. The mags have an MSRP of $170. Oof. Interesting mag, not cheap. Also kind of cool is that the Stizon kit was first shown off at GunCon last year by Stuffin' Things, and they will be back this year to show off who knows what. I don't know. Next up this week is one from Franklin Armory. It's called the F22, and they are claiming that it is the first 22 LR rifle and pistol optimized for use with a binary firing system. Essentially, this is a 1022 clone that's had the firing pin modified, upgraded, whatever word you want to use, to work with their BFS binary trigger. The BFS stands for binary firing system. I suspect it has something to do with the regular 1022s maybe not working perfectly if you get them going very quickly, probably outrun it. The rifle version comes with a 16-inch fluted barrel and threaded as well. That is attached to a receiver that has a pick rail built into the top, a Hogue overmolded stock, a larger charging handle, and an auto bolt release. Not really sure what that is. And the rest of the setup is sort of made to work with their trigger system. Then you have the pistol version, which has an 8-inch barrel, an SB Tactical chassis and brace, and it's basically the same thing as the rifle version. MSRP on the rifle is $810 and the pistol is $1090. Honestly, for me, this is the best way to get enjoyment out of a binary trigger while not going broke with more expensive ammo. Like a 5.56 versus this, I would go with this, personally. In other new gun news, Weatherby has a new version of their Vanguard called the Black Hills. They say that this is inspired by the rugged terrain and untamed spirit of the Black Hills, and that it's designed to perform in the harshest environments and deliver precision when it matters most. Sounds like a lot of marketing gobbledygook, right? Yeah. Underneath, there's some nice stuff going on. The cold hammer-forged barrel length ranges from 20 to 26 inches, and with all 17 different calibers offered, you get a 2-inch muzzle brake on the end. A little cod piece on there. Hopefully it works well. You also have a small pick rail and ARCA piece under the front of the stock that's been hand-painted. That looks nice. And then you have a 2-stage trigger, and most importantly to me, a sub-MOA guarantee, unfortunately with a 3-shot group at 100 yards with premium ammo. MSRP here is $770 on these. So if they can consistently put down sub-MOA groups, that's not bad. I prefer at least 5-shot groups. It's not as common in the industry, but who knows if this gun will get too hot to consistently put down 5 shots sub-MOA. It honestly sounds like good value on the surface. However, I've not shot a Weatherby rifle in a very long time, so it's tough to say if their current stuff is good to go. Not sure. If you've got one, sound off in the comments and let us all know. To me, Weatherby's always been a brand that I've heard makes good stuff. I've heard that. I used to sell them when I worked at a gun store in Amish country, but they don't always come to mind first on bolt guns for me, and I'm not really sure why. You know who does come first, though? This week's sponsor, Wooks. Wooks just introduced their new vertical forward grip as part of their Vigilante line of products, and I gotta say, I'm really digging it. It rounds out the product offerings, and on top of that, it's actually functional. It also matches up really nice with their walnut M-LOK rail covers. If you use TGC10 over there, you'll probably spend a couple less points, and that would be great for you. I would love that for you. I really would love that for you. Big thank you to Wooks for supporting TGC. We really appreciate them. It's great to work with cool companies making cool stuff. Let's keep it rolling with this week's Friendly Fire question. It's technically questions at this point. We've been doing multiple. That seems pretty fun. If you want to ask me a question, slam it down in the comments with the words Friendly Fire so I can actually go back and find it. That is very helpful. Samuel Young says, are 10mm PCCs the new M1 carbine? And would you like to see a comeback of the 30 carbine? I wouldn't say they are the new M1 carbine because they really aren't the same thing in my mind. However, I would love to see more guns chambered for 30 carbine. Even if it's not the most effective 30 caliber out there, it is fun to shoot. Blitzkrieg Wolf says, what are some of your picks for high value budget guns? I'll just run down some pistols because this could get long. I really like the IWI Masada Slim, the Rost Martin guns, and the Ruger RXM right now. Those are the ones that come to top of mind. There are a bunch of others, but that's what's on my mind. I Am Spear says OA 2311 or the Platypus. He's invested in 320 mags and wonders how much that matters. Both of those companies unfortunately failed to follow through on guns that we were supposed to review. They said they were going to send them, never sent them. So I wouldn't pick either one. And honestly, I don't personally care about mag compatibility. I am a little bit spoiled, but I don't care. If a gun shoots well, I'll get more mags for it. I think mag compatibility is a silly, primary reason to pick a gun. Should be maybe a bonus reason, but not primary reason. And SDC said, what are some things you don't like about the gun community? I'm going to share something that's been bugging me a bit lately. It's groupthink. For example, if I don't parrot exactly what someone's favorite reviewer said, then they'll be in my comments basically saying that my opinion is not valid and neither is my experience with a given gun. In our reviews, we are aggressively honest, and sometimes it feels like I'm being attacked for documenting and sharing an opinion that doesn't align with the group. It makes me feel like this. We are allowed to disagree, and it's not a rule that we all must hold the same opinion about every single gun. That's dumb. If you like something and I had a bad experience with it, or yours works fine, that's great. Good. But I am not going to make up and put it into my reviews to fit the opinion of others. That would invalidate the entire purpose of us testing and reviewing guns. I don't know. What? Why? Long answer, but that grinds my gears. My friendly fire question to you guys this week. What do you think are some of the worst and best things about the gun community? Sound off in the comments. Bring your flame suit. It's gonna get weird. Okay, how's about a little rapid fire? We've got a few quick ones for you this week. Chris has failed to bring us a new version of the Vector, but rather has brought us a new camo pattern for them. MSRP is $1,750 to $2,000 depending on the model. I'd love to see them do something, I don't know, new with this concept besides painting it a different color or putting different shrouding on the outside. A company called Engaged Industries has two new cans for us. First is the Recon 308. They say that this is a reduced blowback design and that it is rated for any barrel length, and the MSRP is $1,000 for the direct thread version. The 5.56 version is called the Operator and has a similar concept for $750 MSRP. The tube, I believe, is titanium, and they're using some kind of alloy baffles. I'm not exactly sure. There's not a ton of info on their website because sharing information is hard in the gun industry, I guess. But they exist, so that's cool. Reptilia has a new ambi charging handle for $100. I've heard their stuff is nice, but I've never used it. Neat. And Federal won a contract to supply the Canadians with ammunition. This includes the Department of Oceans, the Parks Department, Correctional Services, and the Border Agency. The contract is for up to 10 million rounds of 9mm training ammo, duty ammo, and .308 Winchester over a 5-year span. As a reminder, Federal is part of the Kinetic Group that is owned by Czechoslovak Group, and we covered the buyout that CSG bought Federal and all the ammo brands. We covered that a long while back. In background check news, the stats are in for the month of April, and it's about what you'd expect. We've been really sort of leveling off this year. The total background check numbers for April 2025 is 2.28 million, just under 2.3. That is down from the 2.57 million in March, and also down from last year's 2.37 million in the same time. I've heard from a bunch of brands that the industry is down across the board, and based on these numbers, I think it's less about being down as a whole and more about numbers not increasing to cover the growing cost of doing business. I suspect before the year is over, we're probably going to see more brands, I don't know, like merging, getting bought out, maybe shut down. It's going to be weird, probably. In sort of 2A news, I need to bring you guys into the loop on something going on in DC. There's been a bunch of talk about this. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds. We're just going to cover the high level. The Ways and Means Committee is currently working through something called the reconciliation process in order to potentially get the Short Act or Hearing Protection Act, either one of those, put through into effect, I guess, into law. If you are interested in getting short barrel rifles and shotguns or suppressors flat out removed from the NFA, you need to call your representatives and senators and let them know where you stand on this. Let them know that they need to support this kind of thing. I've heard talk about a possible reduced tax, like a number down from 200, but in my opinion, as long as we are going through the NFA branch at all and asking ATF for permission to own these sorts of things, we've got a problem. Again, if you want to get this done, and we need to, you got to get on the phone, you got to contact the reps and senators, and you got to put pressure on so that we can hopefully make this happen.